on, Trunks! You make that boy sorry he ever met you!
Hon, you're dreaming!
Hi fellow nerdikins, welcome back to another episode of That's So Nerdy. Today we have another deck profile for you. And today we're going to be looking at a leader that is, in my opinion, really underrated. We got Bulma here. Bulma Familia Bonds. So, as you probably noticed right away, she's only got 5,000 power on her front side, 10,000 on the back. So, she's already like at a little bit of a deficit compared to other leaders. But what makes up for that is her permanent ability. All red and yellow Saiyan and Earthling cards in your battle area gain blocker. So as long as it's a red or yellow Saiyan or Earthling or both, it gets blocker, which is awesome. It's got an activate main that you just get to draw a card once per turn, which is also awesome. And then when you reach 4 less life, you can go ahead and choose up to 2 of your energy, restand them, and then switch this over. And when she switches over, boom, same permanent ability, and then now your activate main is to draw 2 cards instead of 1. And I know she seems like an underwhelming leader, but you will see how beneficial she actually is once we go through this deck profile. Alright, so we're going to start off looking at our Unison card. That's going to be Bulma Secret Supporter. It's got blocker because only battle cards get blocker from your leader, so it actually helps to have an additional blocker. If your leader card is red Earthling only card, so that definitely applies to Bulma, with 10,000 power or less, when a marker is removed from this card by an opponent's attack, flip up to 1 card in your life face up, and at the end of the turn, flip all face up cards in your life face down. Now, you may be wondering why you would want to do that. Here's why. If to add a marker to your Bulma, if your leader card is a red Earthling only card, you may choose 1 card in your hand and place it in your life. If you do, add 1 card from your life to your hand. So that way you can look at what's in your life before you choose to go ahead and swap out cards in your hand that you may not need. And that's something that with this deck you get a lot. You get a really big hand size because there's so much capability to draw cards. Alright, now let's, before we get started with the battle cards, I'm going to go ahead and point something out that most people will probably notice by the end. I am not running a single extra card in this deck. I know, crazy. A lot of people might think I'm crazy for doing that, but you'll see why. Alright, so we're going to start off with a red Saiyan. It's going to be Saiyan Kaba. It's a 1 drop, and the reason we picked this one out, because if you draw 1 card from your life and add it to your hand, this card gets plus 10,000 power and double strike for the turn, which is always a cool ability, especially when you're trying to self-awaken. And with this deck, especially with the control that all the blocker gives you, you definitely want to be able to get to your awaken side as soon as possible so you can draw more cards, so you can have more combo power, so you can just have more possibilities to do things. And then next, we're running a yellow Goku GT Son Goku Adventure Into the Unknown. And this is essentially just like Kaba, except instead of gaining double strike when you draw a card from your life, you gain critical. So if you don't want your opponent to draw cards from their, or get cards from their life from taking damage, boom, hit them with Goku instead. Blow. They don't get to add those cards to their hand. Critical is always a good choice. Now, moving on, we've got a red pint-sized warrior Son Goku. Now, when you play this card, you look at up to 7 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 1 red Son Goku GT among them, and add it to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. Now, what that's going to be important for, and that's going to be important for getting your boss cards out there. And you'll see those a little later in the video. But your boss cards are, at least in this deck that I made, are all Goku GT Sons for 1. There's one that's a Gohan, and you'll see why when we get there. So yeah, that helps you search out your boss cards. And, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you how many we're running of each card. We are running 2 of the Unison card, 2 of the Cabba, or 3 of the Cabbas, sorry, 3 Cabbas, 3 Goku's adventuring into the unknown, 4 pint-sized warrior Son Goku. Okay, now that that's cleared up, we can continue. Next card we have is Son Goten rushing in. His ability is Revenge, and for those who don't know, Revenge, it says it right here, when this card is attacked, KO the attacking battle card at the end of the battle. So why this is so important to have in this deck, and I don't care what engine you're running with this deck, if you're not running this card or a card similar to it, then you're doing something wrong, because your opponent attacks you, you don't want to take the damage, use your blocker ability that your leader provides for you, and then switch the attack target to Goten here, and then with the Revenge ability, that card gets destroyed at the end of battle. Awesome, awesome ability. Now, the next 2 cards are 2 of the reasons why we're actually not running any extra cards. So, and then we're running 4 of those Gotens, sorry. First one is Heroic Duo Videl. You may notice that it's got really low power, but it's a counterattack. So you get to play it for 1 energy, negate the attack, and play this card. So not only do you get to stop the attack, but you get another body on the in the battlefield. So you can use your blocker ability. So essentially, it's like 2 counterattacks in 1, and we're running 4 of those. The next one, it's essentially the same thing, except we've got Master Roshi Forged of Will, sorry. But yeah, counter the attack, play this card. Boom, got another blocker. As you've noticed, we've been running all Saiyans and Earthlings, which is exactly what you want to do with this deck every single time. Alright, now we're also running 4 copies of that Master Roshi. Now for the next 2 cards, they actually work in combination with each other, and if you don't have one, the other one isn't quite as strong. Same for the other one, but it's the first one is Toughened Up Chaozu. Now I bet you're wondering, like, oh hey, he already has blocker, why would you do that? Because if you have a Toughened Up Krillin in your battle area, you get to draw 1 card and add 14,000 power to this card for the duration of the turn. So and that's going to be the next card that I show you, is the Toughened Up Krillin. And we're running 3 of those. We're also going to be running 3 of these Krillins. Toughened Up Krillin. Permanent ability. If Toughened Up Chaozu, if Toughened Up Chaozu is in play in your battle area, this card gains 5,000 power and critical. So if that Chaozu is in your battle area, and this Krillin's in your battle area, not only do you get to draw another card once per turn, but now this is a 20,000 power critical. And like I said, we're also running 3 of those. Moving on to the next card, we've got 4 Shocking Future Son Gokus. His auto ability is after you combo with this card, choose up to 1 Son Goku GT with 5,000 or less power from your deck and add it to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So what that does for you is you combo with this card. As you can see, it costs 1 energy to combo with this card, but with how low the cost of almost all these cards are, that's not going to be an issue. You're going to have energy to spare. So you're going to want to combo with this card, and then you get to go ahead and search through your deck for this Goku right here, which allows you to search out your boss cards. Awesome, awesome strategy to just kind of rifle through your deck to be able to bring out the cards that you need to be able to give you that big W. Alright, next is going to be our super combo, actually. And that's going to be Sidelines Assist Bulma. Really, really basic super combo. If your leader is red, you have 4 less life. Draw 1 card when you combo with this card. Basic, super basic. But one thing that's really nice is you can also use this card for one of your blocker cards, because you can play it to the field and then you're still able to use the super combo ability. So, considering how every single card that you see and that you're going to see is going to have the blocker ability, it's going to make it very, very difficult for your opponent to be able to get past that, unless they have already worked out a strategy to work around that. And if you're playing best of one, then they're not going to have the chance to pull out any side decks or anything. They're just kind of hoping for the best. Alright, next card we're running is Son Goku Resolve Renewed. Another counterattack, and you may be noticing that it's a 3-drop and thinking to yourself, well, that's kind of expensive for a counterattack, right? Well, if you have 3 or more energy, you get to reduce the cost of this card in your deck and your hand by 2, so it becomes a 1-drop once you have 3 or more energy. So that's awesome. And then the next part, the Activate main doesn't apply to this deck because obviously my leader card is not a Vegito. But that really doesn't matter when it comes to this deck. We only really have this Goku in here for the counterattack ability and then him staying on the battlefield as another blocker. Alright, now we're moving into our boss cards. Oh, I apologize. I said earlier that one of the cards was not a Goku GT card. 2 of them aren't. 2 of our boss cards are not going to be a Goku GT card, but one of them is a Goku. And that's going to be Son Goku Plan for Victory. Now, 5-drop, yeah, that's pretty expensive. You're probably never really going to use this guy unless it's very situational. His Activate main, though, is if your opponent is at 2 or less life, you get to play this card from your hand for 4 energy. So you could do that on their turn as well. Auto, when this card is played, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, negate its skills for the turn, and it gets minus 25,000 power for the turn. So that's awesome because most battle cards are going to be 25,000 and under, so you reduce that power to 0, boom, that card dies, and you have 1 less card to worry about being able to attack you. But usually by the time you have the ability to play him, you've kind of already won. Alright, the next one of our boss cards is going to be Rising Fist Super Saiyan 2 Son Goku. Now, it's another 5-drop, but again, for 4 energy, this one evolves. It's not situational, so your opponent doesn't have to be at 2 or less life, but you evolve this card for 4 energy. It's a 20,000, double strike. Sorry, you couldn't see that because of the foiling and the lighting. And then when a card evolves from this card, or into this card, excuse me, you get to draw an additional 2 cards, which is going to help you with combo power, which is going to help you preserve your blockers, which is going to help your leader there take less damage, which is always what you want. Unless you're trying to awaken, still, of course. And then our next boss card is going to be Untapped Power Super Saiyan 3 Son Goku. Now, another 5-drop with a 4-drop evolve ability. This one doesn't have double strike, but it does have deflect, so it can't be countered when it comes into play, which is always nice. And then when you play this card, you get to draw 1 card, and then you choose up to 1 of your energy and switch it to active mode, and this card gets 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. So when you play this card, it's a 30,000, and then after the turn ends, it becomes a 25,000. But you get to draw a card and restand an energy. So that's really awesome, especially if you still have, say, Videl or Master Roshi or Goku in your hand. You restand an energy so you have an extra counter, so you don't have to use a blocker, so you have more ability to protect yourself and attack your opponent on your next turn. Alright, so we are on to our last 3 boss cards. And the first one is going to be Broken Limit Super Saiyan 3 Son Goku. It's got an EX Evolve for 1 red energy. You place one card from your hand in the drop area, which, like I said before, is not an issue with this deck because you get to draw like crazy. And then you put this on top of a Red Sun Goku GT with an energy cost of 4 or more. So that's going to be this Goku GT and this Goku GT, which is why it's so important to be able to use this Goku GT to search out any Goku GT. But then after you evolve, oh no, it does not. This one doesn't have any special abilities when it evolves. When one of your cards attacks, this card gains 5,000 power for the duration of the battle. Then if this card's power is 40,000 power or more, this card gains triple strike. So that is amazing, especially if you already have a large board, because typically by the time you're playing this card, it is last or second to last turn. This is game-ending strategy by far right here. You just attack with your board, and it says 5,000 power for each card that attacks. So it would need 3 cards to attack before this one, and then it gains triple strike. So what that's going to allow is your opponent is probably trying to defend their life at all costs at this point. So those first 3 attacks that you're attacking with, they're probably using their combos, using their counterattacks, using their counter plays, whatever they can to try and protect their life, doing everything they can to try and protect their life. So by the time you play him, boom, that's another 40,000 triple strike. And if they aren't able to combo, it's almost half your life. So it's essentially going to kill you. If they can't stop you, they're gonna die. And we're running 2 copies of that. Oh, I apologize. I forgot to. We're running 4 of this Goku. We're running 4 of this Goku. We're running 2 of this Goku. We're running 2 of this Goku. And then our next boss card is Victorious Fist Super Saiyan 3 Son Goku. Another EX evolve. This one has to evolve on a 5 cost, which are our 2 other Goku GTs. This one has double strike. You don't have any special conditions to meet to give it double strike. It just already has double strike. But once per turn, when this card attacks, switch this card to active mode, and it gains 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. So essentially, that's dual attack. But instead of just having the dual attack ability, it also has double strike and gains 5,000 power for the second attack. Amazing, amazing ability. Alright, and then we're moving on to, we're running 4 of those, 4 copies of that Goku. Alright, and then this is our final boss card and our final card in this deck profile. We've got Miraculous Comeback Ultimate Gohan. Now, I know what you're thinking. 6-drop, that's really expensive. Doesn't evolve for any amount of energy. But it is a 25,000 double striker. And if you look at its permanent ability right here, if you have 3 or less cards besides this card in your hand, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand or battle area by 4. So that becomes a 2-drop. And then when this card KOs your opponent's battle cards, inflict 2 damage to your opponent. So if they have any battle cards in rest mode, if you don't have the 6 energy to pay, you only have 7. Say you have 3 energy, and you're like, oh no, what am I gonna do? Attack with whatever cards you have on the board, and then combo like crazy to try to empty out your hand because you're gonna be able to refill it. And then once you do that, you're able to play this for 2 energy. You have 1 energy left for, say, maybe a counter attack, because it says 3 or less cards, not including besides this card. So that's a total of 4 cards in your hand. Those other 3 cards could be counter attacks. And since your counter attacks give you blocker because they're battle cards and they're Saiyans or Earthlings, you're pretty much set and safe. But anyway, that's my Bulma Familial Bonds deck profile for you. And if you like this video, go ahead and smash that like button. Leave a comment for any particular leader you may want to see a deck profile for. If I have the ability to make it from my collection that I currently have, I will be more than happy to do so. Deck building is one of my favorite pastimes. Whether it's Magic or Universes or Dragon Ball Super, obviously. I just love doing it. Just love it, love it, love it. So if you haven't already, smash that like button, leave a comment, let me know what you thought, and subscribe if you haven't already. We're a very small channel and every little bit helps. And stay nerdy.